in the team. It doesn't hold water. Please, let us ASAP sack Coach Milo and ensure that the right thing is done. Please, let's look for proper talent to represent us on the international front. We are a disgrace as it stands now, and the whole Ghana is disappointed.
Thank you very much, Charles. I'm sure you're also disappointed, but then is there something specific that you have identified as the problem which you want to see fixed as a matter of urgency?
I think it's more to do with the selection. We've got an abundance of talent across the world. I don't know which person goes out there to do the scouting. Maybe that's the first problem. The second problem, I think that we should dissolve the Black Star team as we speak and did what Nyawo Tamako did for Hasso Folk, so that you dissolve it and start all over again. Maybe that's what we need. And I'm sure that once we make that attempt, maybe who knows, we will shine in the next 2 years when we are doing the AFCON again. But for now, too much disappointment.
No hope.
Too much disappointment. Well, so we're still on the Joy Sports link, and we're just sampling views, and we're trying to gauge the views of everybody who, just like all of us who sacrifice their emotions and their effort and their energy towards the Black Stars. Tell me, what is it that you want to see done after what you saw in Cameroon? There are those who say, "Oh, the defending champions also crumbled, so it shouldn't be much of a big deal." Is it such a big deal? Is it such a big deal for you?
Well, I mean, it's a very big deal for me because, to be honest, in Yaminat, small posts are factual. You know, we've got a culture in Ghana where everybody plays small posts. So people don't even practice shooting and scoring in bigger posts. And that's our biggest problem. Most of the guys, when it comes to the midfield, they can run around, turn, pass the ball to nowhere. Our biggest problem in Ghana is how to develop our final box play right in front of the goalkeeper. What are the two things that you're going to do? Just pass the ball and hit the ball at an angle to score. We don't seem to be able to do that. We want to walk the ball into the net, and then when we finish, we end up blaming our coaches. Look, the players have a problem, because if you have such lackadaisical attitude, then you can even go and bring the coach from Manchester City. What's his name?
Pep
Guardiola, and Ghana will still flop. So I think it's about time we went back to roots. We develop our course team. The Ghana Football Association should find a way to stop anybody who scores 6 goals in our premiership being sold to Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, Tunisia, and then they get lost. I mean, it's just a shamble. Look, I didn't watch one single game because I didn't want to bother. I knew we're going to lose. I knew we're not going to do well. But to lose to Comoros, there are a lot of Ghanaians who never heard the name Comoros before, and we lost to them abysmally. You understand? So, I mean, there's no excuse. The boys were not good enough. We were not ready. We have 1 or 2 dedicated people like Didier, but he's not enough. The rest of the people should help him. But very, very disappointing. I mean, Ghanaians, we apart from crying, we're angry. So I don't think it's about Milo. I think we should give him a chance to get to the World Cup if he can, and then we start to do something about it. But Charlie, we'll have a try before.
Thank you very much. And it's this is something that everybody has been talking about, especially in the last 24 hours, about Coach Milovan and whether we should even let him stay or not. But Kofi, you have related to some of these players at very close range, and you see the variations in quality, the generations, and what they've all offered. How do you also feel?
Let me tell you, funny, I didn't see any of the games. I was a pessimist right from the onset. And but
on a regular day, you probably would be in Cameroon supporting the team.
But I've lost it for some time now. I think one of the things we ought to do now is to dissolve the team, and we should probably domesticate the Black Stars. You know, find a way of empowering our young players who play locally. You know, give them all the necessary resources to do well and stay here. That way, they play very often. You know, as a team. And be in sync for, you know, some of these international tournaments. I I was pretty taken aback looking at the fact that we didn't even win a single game, but somehow I wasn't too surprised because it's something I expected right from the onset. We've been in shambles right from the get-go, losing our last coach, finding this coach who says that he was prepping us for the World Cup and not the African Cup of Nations, really. I mean, he should go. The team itself should be dissolved. Let's go straight back to the Colts days and, gather these young guys and prep them for international tournaments in future.
Well, okay, so dissolve the national team, let the coach go. Dissolve the national team, let the coach go. Different views here and there. Okay, what do you also think? You think we should let the coach go? Do you want the coach to go?
No, never. The coach should stay. I think we have bad materials. The players are not good enough. The players are not good enough. Just look at our goalkeeper. Division 2 or Division 3 goalkeeper. We have good local goalkeepers here who can.
But don't you think for a first attempt he showed promise and he showed some confidence?
No, never. I don't have confidence in the goalkeeper.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You tell me as well. What do you want to see done? I mean, everybody's talking about, the disappointment and everything. Are you disappointed? What aspect of it are you disappointed in?
I was actually disappointed in the selection.
Okay.
Yeah, the choice of players they used and also the style of formation. Yeah.
So, any hope for us, especially as we're trying to qualify for the World Cup? You think we have hope and we can qualify?
Yeah, there's hope for Ghana. There's really hope for Ghana. Yeah. Did you watch the Cameroon match yesterday?
I did.
Yeah. Did you see the way they outplayed the Algerians? Like it was
Ivory Coast, you mean? Yeah. Ivory Coast versus Algeria.
Sorry, Ivory Coast. It was very beautiful. Yeah, we can do.
So you think that based on that, the Black Stars can also play?
We can. Oh, why not?
Okay.
We have the chemistry.
Okay.
I think we have the chemistry, but just the choice of players. So, yeah, he needs to get it done right.
All right, thank you. Let's see how all of it goes. Yeah, cool. Charlie? Still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy99.7 FM, and these conversations have been happening, since Tuesday evening. In fact, since the start of the tournament, these conversations have been happening at different levels of temperature, with different angles and all of that. So what we did today was just to put together a panel that is representative of all the aspects of what we're doing. So we have those who are analyzing the game, those who have technical knowledge in the game, those of us who write about and talk about the game, and those who are at the receiving end of all of these performances, as well as those who play the game and have played the game before. Welcome to the Joy Sports Link once again. And very shortly, we'll also be getting on Zoom to have a conversation with Efe Soje, who is a former Nigeria international, former player of the Super Eagles, now based in the UK. He'll be sharing his experiences with us, how he views all of this from afar. Let me begin with you, Nana. Not so surprising, is it? Milo gone. We saw it coming.
Yeah, we saw it coming. We saw it going even before we saw it coming when he was on his way here, because we were advising them not to do that. I told them personally he's a hungry coach, because any coach who's going to accept $30,000 for a national team assignment is a very hungry coach.
But there are the angles of how much we could afford, okay, as a nation, because all these names that have been put up, Chris Hughton, George Boateng, and Otto Addo, were all going to come at a certain cost. I remember very well. Let my math and my statistics serve me right. Chris Hughton is not going to come at anything less than $70,000 a month.
Correct.
And so his name is coming up. I don't know what decision we're going to take eventually, but then our pocket was not as deep, yet we wanted quality, and we had to go for a Milo who, to a large extent, knew us and knew our system and the way we played.
Well, a Milo that had expired.
Okay.
Look, if you're not prepared to invest, then there's no point having these large expectations or anticipating, really great outcomes, because you're not going to make it. When this issue of the coach came, I was one of those people who was supporting the Hervé Renard theory, because the coach, he was here before, He was our fitness trainer, and then he went on to Zambia, won there. I think he won again in Ivory Coast, and you know, he was going at 100,000 US dollars. If I pay someone 100,000 US dollars, I have every right to tell them the anticipated outcome and to let them know that if that is not the outcome, then you're fired. Do you understand? I do not have the right, when I throw peanuts on the ground, when I see a monkey come in, I shouldn't tell that monkey he can't eat the peanuts, because that's what I've put on the ground. And that's what we got for 30,000. We just basically got a monkey because we put peanuts down. You know, we've been through all of this before anyway. It's not the first time, is it? I don't know what the three wise men saw in Coach Milo.
Which three wise men are we talking about here?
The Randy Abbey led committee, Mark Addo, and I can't remember the other person. But I don't know what they saw in Coach Milovan to recommend him to the GFA president, Kurto Krekel, for them as an executive council to endorse the entire thing. But whatever it was they saw, we are quite clear now that it was an illusion. And that brings into question their capacity when it comes to occupying the positions they occupy. And that's just from someone like me who I'm outside of the organization, because I mean, I hear a lot of people, we were saying yes, sack Coach Miller and sack the rest as well, and I think the arrogance displayed by Kurto Krekel basically reflected the fact that we can say what we want outside of here, but we do not have a vote. And if those football people that make up the association ain't saying he should go, and if they ain't prepared to convene an emergency annual general meeting or special meeting or whatever to put that on the table, then what we are saying is we're just making noise.
You can also share your views. That's Nanajiman's views on this matter. You can also share your views at 05511119997. If you're outside Ghana, just prefix it with +233. Christabel, you followed on a day-to-day basis, and you kept writing your summaries on your Facebook wall, on your social media. How do you feel about all of this as a regular fan who also has the Black Stars at heart?
So you know how Facebook gives you like the memories, right? I just got memories the entire time, and it was the same thing. I'm pumped up, I'm letting everybody get excited, including myself, and then it's like we go down the drain. And for a fan, it's tough because that's what we are, right? Die hard till the end. Every day we try again. But I also can relate to those who say they're done. People have been done. Kenyans have been done when it comes to football because we're putting so much into it. But I relate to what Nanajiman said, which is, how can you, in any salary, if you're a salaried worker, you only go up unless you're not doing something right. So how come the same person years ago take a salary and then slash it? Something's not right. So my question to Ghana and whoever the powers that be in the football system is, why can't we afford $100,000? Why? Why are we saying it's too much? But then I think about us, the people, because everybody in Ghana is a coach, right? And imagine if the government had come out to say, we're going to pay $100,000 a month. Back then, I mean, we see what we see now, so maybe we'll say, oh, it's fine. But at the point, I'm sure it wasn't. So it's a lot of convoluted things that have got us here. The people's voice, so the politicians don't want to be unpopular, so that, you know, you come and you announce that we've got a coach for a good deal. I hear you guys, we're not going to put too much into it from our national coffers. We're going to do this. But then these are the results.
So you also join us, as I said, and would have this conversation together. All right. So Christabel regularly does business consultancy. She creates, networking platforms for people in the diaspora to start their businesses and to establish them and all of that. Today, she's talking pure Black Star stuff. We're all very, very worried. Let me bring into the conversation Mr. Osei Owusu-Bempah, who has done everything from sports broadcasting to sports analysis through to his mainstay, which is, health administration. He is joining us from his base in the Ashanti region in Kumasi, to be specific. Thank you very much, Senior. It's good to have you on the show once again.
Good afternoon, Nats.
Great. It's good to have you here. Okay, so today the conversation was already geared towards, looking at the way forward after Milo. But what I want to pick from you before we go ahead is the takeouts from this second coming of Milovan Riva, the major takeouts, and what positive we could draw from participating in the Nations Cup and crumbling and setting a not so good record for the books.
Good afternoon once again to you and your viewers and your listeners. The line is quite what we can take out of Milo's second coming. It does exactly what you said. I recall a couple of months ago when we had a conversation on your platform, I indicated that if Milo the team was not going to perform very well under Milo as probably we expect, it may not necessarily be because Milo is not a good coach, but probably because we don't have the quality in our team. And I think exactly that's what we saw at the tournament that we just exited. I think the player quality is much on the lower side. I've heard people who talk about what happened between 2010 and Milo returned to Ghana. What he achieved before he came to Ghana for the first time. Virtually, we knew nothing about him before he first came to Ghana. So if we didn't question his first coming with respect to his credentials, then I think probably we may be going too far if we question his credentials after leaving Ghana. I believe that a coach is important in football, but not completely decisive. And therefore, the match quality.
All right, so we are...
Of materials that you work with, the management case of Ghana, the spirit of the nation at the time, just as we've done the last couple of tournaments, very much a divided nation. And of course, if you have such a scenario playing out before a major tournament, obviously, results like this are things that you must expect. I said the last time on this program that I wasn't expecting the Black Stars to win the Cup of Nations, unlike what others were trying to make the president and other people believe. But I also didn't expect that they will get out very, very early at the group stage that had teams like Gabon and Comoros in our group.
Okay, so we seem to be having a bit of a challenge with the connectivity with Owusu Bempah. We'll be coming to that in a bit. But in all of this mix, we see the Black Stars crumbling very heavily, and we see the pairs, especially on the African continent, on the West Coast. I'm talking about Ivory Coast, I'm talking about Mali, I'm talking about Nigeria, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, flying real high, and they're doing so well, and they're inspiring so much confidence. And, there's a very healthy rivalry, but there's a very strong relationship as well. And that's the reason why I managed to get Efe Soje, who played for the Super Eagles of Nigeria between 2000 and 2004, to also share his thoughts with us. Later on, we're going to go into what's doing the magic for the Super Eagles, aside the fact that they have players who are playing very regularly. They have youth on their side as well, and it's just gelling for them so far in the ongoing tournament. Efe, thank you so much for making time to be with us on the Joy Sports Link. And he is joining us from the UK, where he's based. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Efe. Thank you so much for your time. It's good to have you here on the show.
How are you doing, Nafia? You okay?
Very well. I'm great. What about you?
Well, we're all looking good.
Thank you. Now, let's get into the conversations now. We'll begin with the Black Stars. Now, there's always been that big rivalry between Ghana and Nigeria, all these years. At one point, you see both sides with a certain level of form, which could be 50-50. Sometimes you see one better than the other and all of that. You've been observing the Black Stars, at this Africa Cup of Nations from afar. What are your thoughts on what you saw, with all of this, these performances and the group stage exit, beg your pardon?
At first, obviously, we always had that rival between Ghana and Nigeria, which Nigeria has always been the best.
That's for a whole day. That discussion is for a whole day,
No, to be fair, I am disappointed that Ghana went out because they have so much talent in that squad, and the players that they have deserve to get to the quarterfinals, semi-finals. But for them to come out of the group stages, and not just only by the group stage, they only had 1 point, which is very, very bad.
Well, so in all of this, what do you feel we can learn? I mean, you've played the game before, and you've seen moments when a team can dip and a team can peak. Between 2000 and 2004, when you were playing, I remember that at least there was a Nations Cup final at the time, Nigeria versus Cameroon and all of that. What would you, from where you sit, what would you want to see the Ghana team do to get there and, represent the continent well if we have to be in the World Cup or otherwise?
To be fair, they just have to, it's hard to say, but they have to just clean up. And what I mean by clean up, they just have to get a new coach in, and he has to just come in and refresh the whole team. There's some players, it's a football. There's some players that they have to just be stop coming to the national side, and there has to be new players, new faces, because that's the only way things can change in Ghana or in Africa as a whole.
Let's talk about your view on having indigents coach your national team. I mean, there's a big lesson we can all learn from the superpower, which is Brazil. Now, here in Ghana, our biggest successes at the Nations Cup were led by Ghanaian coaches. Now, in Nigeria, for instance, the last Nations Cup success story was written by the late Stephen Keshi. Now, there's Egwavon, who is doing very well. He's an ex-international as well. There is always that dilemma. Go for someone from outside of here. Go for an indigent. And some people also say, oh, we just want somebody who's professional and will do the job. Where do you stand on that subject?
To be fair, it's so funny that you brought this thing up. For me, I always think that as a national side, we should now use our own indigenes, our own civilians, our black coaches. That's what we need. Because every time we go out, we can't bring foreign coaches. I have nothing against the foreign coaches, but we always go out and bring foreign coaches in, and they will do one job or two jobs and pay them a massive amount of money, which is wrong. Why don't we invest in our African coaches and let our African coaches come and now perform into the national side? Because we have top African coaches. They will not, no foreign coach will allow them to come and coach our national side. So why should we get them to come and coach our national side? Because our people, our own indigents, they have the passion. They know what the citizens want. So it's not just about just picking a foreign coach in and just say he has to perform. It's so funny because when we talked about Nigeria, we had Sunday late Keshi. He won it. Then the next coach was from Nigeria was Olise. Olise was there for a short period of time. Then they brought in the last manager, which from day one I was always questioning myself: who is he? What has he done? What has he performed? National side. But they brought him in. He was the longest coach Nigeria ever had for 6 years, paying him good money. But when they come bring a Nigerian coach in, they're going to pay them peanuts, which is wrong. So we have to invest in our coaches and let our people that play the football to coach national side.
Nana, this subject about the Ghanaian, letting a Ghanaian coach and all of that. Okay, now Efe has raised a very important point about bringing in a foreigner, paying him expatriate, level salaries, bringing in your own person and scaling it down so heavily to the extent that even when there's a COVID situation, you push him to go and say, I want to do a salary cut when the minister is not taking a salary cut. Where do we place all of these within the conversation? What is your view as well?
Good question. You know, let me start from somewhere. I saw Maxwell Canado and I saw Kwesi Appiah under about 3 different expatriate coaches over a period of time. It could have been 4, 5, also 6 years. They went to AFCONs, they went all over the place. One of the things that really hurt me about Kwesi and Maxwell was that from all their $10,000 they received winning bonus, they never ever put $1 down to go and boost up themselves, to go and better themselves. Because I think they had the CAF something or something, and there was some arrangement. Eventually they were there. But why I say this is because what is the difference between an African coach and an expatriate coach? Our brother was saying that an African coach won't be employed in Europe, and that's true. And the reason why that won't be done is because the African coach doesn't have the requisite certificate. Now, we keep saying, oh, the CAF license is the equivalent of the UEFA, but it's
UEFA
not.
Pro. No, but that's within the football. Within football.
Doesn't work, Nat.
No, within football circles, that is what is said.
That is what is said, but that is not what is taking place.
Okay.
And I'm saying to you that those 2 coaches, Maxwell and Kwesi, could still be handling. They could be handling the Black Stars now if they'd gone and upgraded themselves. Because to me, I'll tell you straight up, the CAF course is nowhere near the UEFA course. Nowhere near.
Have you tried to go do either?
Well, I'm a UEFA licensed coach.
Very well.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so
but the content in the CAF coaching course for the license be joke. Be a big joke.
Okay, Ife, you give us that confirmation as well.
No, 100%. I'm behind you. Because if you have the quality, I can tell you now, if you're being a CAF coach to this country, they will literally tell you he's not qualified to coach in this country. So don't compare the CAF to the UEFA
at all.
Not true.
But as a football collective, aren't we worried? Don't we get worried? And because you see, you are in a position to walk within that space. You, Nana, you walk within that space as well. What are we doing as a football collective on the continent to ensure that this is corrected? As in, we're beefing up the curriculum in the CAF, course so that it becomes standard, global standard, if I may put it that way, and make sure that once you're holding that license, it's acceptable and respected everywhere.
But let me tell you this, I get where you're coming from, and to a certain extent we've done this, but the West knows our attitude to it. When I did my coaching course and went for my license, I was told that if I miss one module of 1 hour and 30 minutes, I have to start the course all over again. I must pay the £2,500 and blah, 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 and then I must wait until there's an available course for me to go on again.
I see.
Here, you can miss a week and you still get a certificate. Someone should tell me I'm lying. You still get a certificate, and the West knows that about us. The West knows that I can register for university to do a PhD in blah, 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 and not go one day, but still go and graduate. Do you understand? So that aside, the curriculum that we have isn't up to scratch. And I'm saying to you that this is the difference between the appointment of a local coach and an expatriate coach. Not because the expatriate coach be white, but because the license that he holds denotes that the man has gone through a serious discipline and series of blah, 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 which means that he has the knowledge to manage the players and to coach blah, blah, blah. If you ask some of them coaches now, we've got about 150 A licensed coaches. Call about 2 of them and tell them to write out a session plan and then go and implement it with 20 players or 22 players. They can't. They cannot. I'm telling you, they can't.
Well, we don't have any, CAF license A holders here to verify this.
Bring them here. They can join you on text. They can join you on. You're on so many different handles. Join us and tell me something different.
Nathaniel, Nana is saying the truth. Listen, I back him up. that is 100% what he's saying. That is it. If you miss one day or 1 hour of that coaching session in this country in Europe, you will not get back on that line. You have to start all over again. As he said, you have to look for another space when the space is there, right? So the money that you're going to pay, you're not going to take that risk to lose those funds. When you do your coaching badge the 2 weeks, you have to go and do setting about 120 hours with coaching different levels. Then you come back. But as Nana said, in Africa, you're not going to do that. As you said, they will get the license straight away. Another thing that we can try and think about because you can't bring the CAF into it. Why is it that if you want to come for abroad and you have a CAF license, you have to take the UEFA? So why don't we Africans change it now? Say, okay, if you are a foreigner and you want to come to Africa, you should take the CAF license. Why don't they do that?
It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work because the UEFA license is superior. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's
superior. I understand that.
It's superior.
But that's the thing. But as you said, we have to, with the money, the situation, the economy is not good in Africa, but the FAs should still implement and help the coaches to put them on these courses as well. There should be hand. Nana, you have to pay for then you pay as an ex-player, you pay. And they pay you back half of the money, don't they?
Yeah.
That's it. So why can't we implement that in the African section again?
Well, interesting thoughts you've raised there. Christabel, you're a fan. How much confidence? I want you to tell us how much confidence you have or have had anytime we've had one of our own as against a foreigner coming to coach the Black Stars. Let's just use the recent examples of Milovan Rajevac making a return and the period when Siki Akono was in charge. Tell me how much confidence you had, your levels of confidence at either time.
So before I answer your direct question, there's a reason I love football, because I work in international development, and you can translate every second of football into economic growth and or economic decline.
Very well.
The conversation we're having is exactly conversations we had at the global stage. Africa versus the world. Why is there, I don't know what they're saying, but the truth is I can believe it because it translates into everything we do as Africa. Why do we always shortchange ourselves, right? And that's really the issue, is if we come and have some introspection about the reality of the system, forget the players on the ground who are sweating. That's why I support them, because in my opinion, once they get there, nobody wants to lose. So I'm going to go with them forever. But the system is the issue. Now, to your exact question, my confidence has always been, I'm nationalist, patriotic beyond belief.
So yours is in a special
I'm just
bracket.
putting myself in that bucket, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to see a Ghanaian coach lead the Ghanaian national team. That being said, I would like to remove the word Ghanaian and see a competent coach. So that's where, to me, it doesn't matter. It should be somebody who can do the job. I like to believe that we'll invest enough that it can be us. Now, you say all of that, and then you also, because we read, right? We learn from you guys. And you know all the issues that happen when the coach is Ghanaian versus when the coach is an expat. And maybe it comes from what is being said here, that even the players know the quality based on what is the certificate. And they respect and all of that based on that, So then that becomes the question is, how do we reorient ourselves? How do we change our mindsets to say, we're giving you a competent coach? Now, I'll be honest with you. If my coach is earning a quarter of my salary, let's have this conversation. Only because he's a Ghanaian. Respect already gone. I'm just saying, So I think also as the decision makers, maybe we should think about that. Yes, you can say you want a Ghanaian coach, check, great. But treat the Ghanaian coach the same way that you treat the foreign coach, so that the players who are playing globally can put the Ghanaian coach at the same pedestal as a foreign coach. Mindset is already positive, and then we go.
Well, and talk about giving the same treatment. I do remember that. And last night I gave that example on Ghana Connects on this network about the late, Stephen Keshi, who, upon assumption of national team coaching duties, said to the NFF, look, I'm here. Give me the same compliments, full compliments. Let me be comfortable here. and I will deliver on the job. And what did he do? He delivered on the job.
That's it.
But you know what? I want to reinforce the point we made, because you said this is the talk we talk with regards the coaching situation. But look, one of the promises, election campaign promises from the current president of the GFA, was that the clubs that won their respective leagues, the coaches would get attachment abroad. Right?
Yeah.
Why would they do that? Because the facilities and everything else is over and above what we have here. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Look, the other thing is this. Coaches are supposed to be appointed on merit. I'm sorry, I respect our local coaches to the maximum. Kwesi Appiah wasn't appointed on merit. We learnt that even the president had a hand in the appointment of CK. Yes, and so the respect couldn't be there for them. Not even about the money. Look, we brought in that German guy to come and support CK, but he doesn't support Milovan Rajovac, does he? He doesn't. He doesn't support Milovan. For the time Milovan's been in the job, he has nothing to say about it. But when it was CK, he was in like a busybody. Why? Because the GFA themselves didn't have any confidence in the appointment of CK. It wasn't something that they particularly wanted at that point in time. And furthermore, they recognize the difference in the qualification. They do. And I'm saying that if we really want Ghanaian coaches to manage the Black Stars, then we must empower them and give them the opportunity to have exactly what the expatriate coaches have, that qualification. Because I can tell you, as a Ghanaian growing up in the UK, let me give you a holistic view as a black man, and this brother will tell you, growing up in the UK, when it came for me to get my pass for the license, I can tell you I did much more than my white counterparts. Now I'll tell you this, on the first day of my assessment, the first time round, I wore the all yellow strip with the star in the middle, the famous one that Betty Pelly wears.
Sure.
And the guy who was doing the examination, it was a practical examination, we were out on the field, he asked the white guys, he said, "What does Nana look like?" And he even asked me, but none of us could answer. And he said, "I look like a banana."
Oh, God.
Do you understand? Now I wanted to crack him in the face, but I know that if I did that, I would never ever get a license. He knocked me back 6 months. He knocked me back 6 months in the year 2000. So I got my license in 2001 when I went back to, I came home, I did all the hours that this young man is talking about with different clubs in Ghana. You had to log it, it's signed by this and that, and I brought it back and I did my practicals, and I was given my license at West Ham. And I have every confidence in what they teach, and I am very clear it is 100% different to what is taught here. Right? It allows you to think and express yourself as a coach, because we tend to, when we criticize coaches, constructively or otherwise, we tend to focus on what they do on the touchline. Did he bring the substitute in time? Did he do this? Did he do that? Did he do that? That's one aspect of coaching. But the main aspect of coaching is what you do in training. You must create scenarios that will appear in the game and run a rehearsal with your players so they know how to deal with that situation.
And
that's what coaching is about.
And we're told from you know, those who experience the in-camp situations during the time that Abedi Pele used to do a lot of simulation. So there were times when ahead of a game you'd think he was going nuts or something. He'd be on his own, put his legs in water, and you'd be twitching here and there, and all of it was because he was doing a lot of simulation. And there are so many people who have confirmed this. So the bit about simulation is very, very important. Let's now bring in from Cameroon, Gary Al Smith, who is one of our 2 tournament correspondents at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations. Last night we had a very, very extensive conversation about what had gone wrong, trying to dissect the issues, trying to you know, define the weight of the problem that is confronting us at this moment, where we also are confronted with a very, very big assignment as well. Now, Gary, can you bring us up to speed on reactions, especially amongst our colleague journalists, about the sacking of the Ghanaian coach? I'm sure these are things that are always expected, but the reactions from there, and also, the immediate story of looking forward and starting to look in the direction of the likes of Otuado, of George Boateng, possibly an Ibrahim Tanko, and then Chris Hughton.
Yeah, so I think if I got your question correctly, I missed the first part of your question, but I heard the second part. So let me begin from the second part about who possibly we are hearing can get the job. The names you mentioned, once again, just like they did, after Siki Akono was sacked, read their heads, and the same names came before Siki Akono got the job as well, particularly Otuado, who, as you know, is currently or was during Milivand's reign the assistant and couldn't be there for the AFCON. George Boateng, who has had designs on this job for better part of 2 or 3 years now. Also, we understand that Chris Hughton, former Newcastle manager, who has Ghanaian roots, is said to be
he's from Osu.
Considered. Whether he's interested, I don't know. But in the last hour or so, apparently, what the powers that be want is Ibrahim Tanko as the interim manager. I remember that for all these options that I have mentioned, it's to be in an interim capacity, just so that they can, the coach, if appointed, will take the Ghana team through the 2 World Cup qualifier playoffs for Qatar 2022. So that's what we understand. We understand that Ibrahim Tanko is sort of leading the race for that among those who actually. Yes, that's what we are hearing. What the GFA will do, what they will say to that, that's another matter altogether. But you know that the ministry and the government, or the government, were not in support of Milivan getting a return. That was purely a GFA thing, and the GFA pushed the argument that, look, guys, you basically pushed Kwesi Appiah and CK down our throats. We saw how it's ended. Allow us to select the person that we want. So Milivan was a purely 100% GFA appointment. It's who they wanted. And so we are back to the people who pay the money, deciding that probably somebody in the vein of Ibrahim Tanko should be given the opportunity to lead the team in March.
Gary, and also, the realization, we all need to nudge ourselves and understand that just as we talk about quality in the Black Stars team, the happenings within the Nations Cup then make it impossible for Andre Ayew to play in the 2 most important games following the Nations Cup because of his red card.
Yeah, Andre will not play. And that's one big thing that whoever is in charge has to deal with. Of course, he's the titular captain, he's the leader of the side. But, you've heard a couple of Ghanaians, and I'm sure, ask if it is a coincidence that the team seemed to play better when he was red carded, and what it means going forward. I see Mr. Soji smiling. It's a very big tactical question. It's a huge tactical question that many of the journalists, Nathaniel, here were grappling with. It's like the Cristiano Ronaldo question. He's an incredibly good player who will give you the goals. But do you field him at all costs when it seems that tactically he takes something from the team? If I wanted a player to influence a game and give me a goal at all costs right now in Ghana, if I wanted any Ghanaian player anywhere in the world, Andre Ayew will be first on that list. He might be second and third, even on my list, and fourth and fifth. However, and I have said, I've said this many times, I've had especially getting to the end of Siki Akono's time, when I realized at the time, they said, oh, he has just signed for his Qatari club and he has not played a couple of games. When he gets a run of games, he'll be able to be a 90-minute player. He's been there, he scored several goals for his club, but still, we see Andre great in the first 45 minutes, 50 minutes maximum. After 60 minutes, his legs seem to be gone. I'm not sure what the issue is, but is it a coincidence? Should our captain understand that he is central to the team, but he might have to allow himself to be an impact player? Right at this Nations Cup, we have seen a couple of players do it. None more so than the captain of the Nigerian national team, Ahmed Musa. Ahmed Musa has a bigger pedigree than even Andre Ayew when it comes to the Nigerian national team. Because guess what? He is the most capped player of all time of Nigeria. I'm talking Nigeria here. A probably bigger football nation in terms of the names that have passed through the history of that country. Ahmed Musa has more caps than anybody, has scored more goals at the World Cup than anybody as well. So on that score, he's probably on the same level as, in terms of personality, he's probably bigger than Andre Ayew. And Ahmed Musa sits on the bench, has sat on the bench and come off the bench in all the games he has played. And he's a completely, I don't know what to say. I mean, the Iguaban just spoke to him. We understand he spoke to him once about it, and he said anything for the team. Whether our captain, as huge a personality as he has, will allow himself to do that in the interest of the team is another matter. But that's above my pay grade. I'm not paid to think about those things. Good luck to whoever is given the job. But that's just one of the things. Secondly, in the absence of Andre, who won't play, who leads the team? Thomas Partey's capabilities as a captain have been seriously questioned here in Cameroon during this AFCON, because it is either he defers to the fact that Andre is around and he keeps an absolutely low profile, or we are yet to see Thomas Partey really step up in terms of being a captain with Andre not being around. It's one or the other. However, we definitely, as for his footballing capabilities, I don't think any of us, I mean, you'll be really, really silly to doubt his footballing capabilities. After all, as poorly as we did in this AFCON, it was Thomas Partey's 2 assists that got us the goals we got. So there you go. For better or for worse, he was central to the way we played. All right. Whether he can lead the team, which, as you know, as I know, is currently very, because of the Milo thing. Now, this is the context. We took 17 players for whom this was a first AFCON. Before the campaign, they were incredibly excited to work with Milovan because they had heard all these stories about this guy. He's strict, his training sessions are wicked, his warm-ups are killer. Then they come and meet this guy and he's anything but, So the disappointment started with Milovan from there. The second thing is that this Ghana team at the AFCON seemed to have a certain quality where, for a lot of the players, it seemed like no matter what they did, as you heard on Ghana Connect yesterday, Milovan was going to select who he had made his mind up to select. He didn't select his players based on the training he saw. He had a set idea that, these are the guys I think can do the job. Forget whatever I see in training. And so a lot of the players felt shorn of their confidence and trust in the team as well. I mean, we've also heard the stories, Nathaniel, we're seeing on Ghana Connect, that this worried the GFA greatly. And, they basically told Milo, Milo, this is not why we brought you. We trusted that we have a young team and you have worked with a young team from Ghana before. You understand our culture, our psyche. Why aren't you giving players, a chance based on merit? But Milovan is a very stubborn man. And we've always asked for somebody who can withstand the GFA. Well, we got what we asked for, didn't we? So all these questions have to be answered in just about 45 days. The games are in March. And, there are some who still believe that Milovan shouldn't be sacked just for this reason. Yes, he may not have done well, but for the sake of continuity and to have everybody together and to, he's seen that he's made a mistake and whatnot. Let him take the 2 qualifiers. Even if he qualifies, then you sack him because of continuity. Is this new coach who is going to come in an interim basis going to gel with the side, or is it the breath of fresh air they need? These are all questions that if we could look into the future, we could easily answer. But unfortunately, a gamble has to be reached whether Milovan is in the job or he's out of the job. So, this is the context.
Very well. Now, Gary, the point about
Chada has come out in the last hour of Milovan chilling at a hotel in cantonments. He's at a. Yes, Nathaniel.
Gary, I haven't seen that photograph. So I haven't seen that photograph. I don't want to see it for now. So let's leave it there. Now,
can hear you. You wanted to make a point.
No. I'm just saying that photograph you're talking about, I don't want to see for now. Okay? Let's not talk about that one. I don't want to see the photograph. Don't worry. Efe, I'm going to bring you in a bit. Yeah. I'm going to bring you in very shortly, especially about this Ahmed Musa sacrifice, because, I remember very well the first Nigeria game when I looked through the starting lineup, and I said to myself, wow, the gigantic Ahmed Musa is on the bench. Okay, well, it's not like we haven't seen any such before, but on that kind of stage, when you need, inspiration and you need drive and all of that, Ahmed Musa is always there. And it shows in the way he plays as well. We saw what he did in the last FIFA World Cup. Christabel, you were talking about the whole psychology of the situation here. Iguavon had a conversation with Ahmed Musa. I just wished I were there, just sitting back and observing how the conversation went, the tone, how all of it was approached. Are we able to do that here?
So Nathaniel, I wanted to pick up on Gary's point because it's been a discussion quite a bit about the players played better when they got the red card. I have a different view of how I watched that. That was an angry team.
Yeah.
And I think what we should do, because in my opinion, and people say it's because I love Dede, my t-shirt says Dede, but I don't think it was a red card. I saw the ball come out of the keeper's hand and a striker went for the ball. I mean, it was a tackle. That wasn't a good tackle in the end because the keeper came to him. But and that's where VAR just scares me because VAR slows things down, whereas football is fast and it needs to be fast.
That was one of the arguments that Sepp Blatter made about the human element in football and why we should keep it.
And we should allow that. But anyways, technology is a good thing, so we'll pick on it. I'm going to go off a bit. I just feel this AFCON, the refs believe that anytime you look at VAR, it should be negative. That's my conclusion on every VAR response by the refs, and I don't think that's always the case. But anyways, so the Ghanaian team was angry. So being the optimist that I am, I ask myself, how can we feed on that anger? There may be backroom stories about Dede that I don't know about from where I sit, but I do think that is what we need. We need an anger. We need a fire, right? And that's what happened when it was down to 10, when they felt that the red card was unfair, and when our quote-unquote unifier and fiery guy and diehard person was off, and it was like, oh my God, we can actually lose. And that's when they play better. So again, that tells us, if you're looking backwards, the psychology is that we've settled. We've relaxed, we're comfortable, which sadly for me as a Ghanaian, I see it in so many areas. Let's get that angry team that played against Comoros. Yes, in the end, we still didn't manage even a draw because it was too late. Let's call it that, right? So to me, that's how I see it. And if we can find that as a solution, that would be really helpful. Can we put some of our key people on the bench? Why not? In the end, it's a team, right? And I think that's what is important. For too long, have we created stars and then left others, right? Funny enough, and I'll say this, and maybe it's because I'm not, an expert at this. Jiku, I was criticizing in the first 2 games. I was like, why are you here? And then game number 3, Jiku is the star.
Yeah.
So that is my issue, right? Is if we are all treated the same and we're put in as a team, let's go back to being a team. Let's not overly focus on individuals because they're supposedly better or not. Because guess what? There's a reason why there's 11 people on the pitch and not 2 or 3. 2 or 3 can't do it. It's 11. You need the entire 11. Look at Nigeria. I mean, it's so beautiful to watch them. because they are gelling and playing as a team. And we add this part where it's like obia and obia in our local parlance. Nobody is anybody. We need you. You come on. We don't. You sit. If we can do that.
Well, if you just joined us, this is the Joy Sports Link, and we're looking at the story beyond Coach Milovan Rivak. And Gary was talking about a photograph of Milovan taking it easy, in front of a swimming pool together with his, his translator, Nonad Glisic.
His translator wife.
It's chilling.
Nana, I didn't hear that. Okay, so let's get on the phone line now and have a conversation with a former psychologist of the Black Stars. Dr. Patrick Ofori has worked under a couple of coaches, within the Black Stars setup, and is also, a lecturer in psychology, in sports science. He's got thoughts, especially on this thing about psyching the players, psyching the team, standing up to the responsibilities when we fall in these SOS situations like we're in now, and all of that. Dr. Patrick Ofori, thank you very much for your time. Good to have you on the Joy Sports Link.
Thank you, and my greetings to Nana. Happy New Year to the rest of the team.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too. Now, we're talking about a situation where we need a lot of psyching and a lot of tactical, massaging of the mind to get our players to do something significant for us. And within it is the fact that we have to deal with the absence of the captain during the World Cup playoffs. One home game, one away game. How do we go around all of this?
Well, I think the players demonstrated that they can do without their captain, especially when they were even a man down. And like the lady in the studio was saying, they show the anger, and I think they also demonstrated that they have a lot of leaders within the team, and with the right preparation, the right kind of coaching, they can be up to the task.
Now, how much of an effect can this? I mean, like we said, the players have shown that they can be, they can stand up to, they can fight back. So it's established. But is there any possible effect, negative, in that sense, that we can have in these qualifying games, especially considering that we can come up against a very, very strong side, depending on how the draw goes. We can come up against a big side and a strong side in the last round of games.
I think I will prefer. I think I will want to see the positive side of the elimination of Koromo as a spark, as an anger that will let the players know that they need to give more if they want to rub shoulders with the big guy, or what they now normally say, if they really want to bamba with the big boys at the World Cup. Yeah. And that is where the likes of Patty, Jordan, and the rest during that time will show up and definitely do something. So I think it's more of a positive than a negative side. And they've also gotten the reaction that they need from our supporters, and all stakeholders have shown that they will not accept such performance. A similar situations can be drawn from 2006. After that abysmal performance, although people will say we won one match in Egypt, but when you go through the matches during the tournament in Germany, you really could see that this was a different Black. So that is the kind of anger and passion and the drive that we want them to show. So what maybe all of us running commentary and then passing judgment on the game should be a bit second, is that we don't draw personal attack linking the players into all sort of other things that will also have negative consequences on the team dynamics and the cohesion that can also create cracks that, if you are not careful, may not be able to resolve before the two-header.
Before we take leave of you, Doc, over the years, how much importance have we placed on your specific operation within the football mix?
I think this is a question that I would want to go back to the earlier submission of Nana Jima about the models of our coach education and how we give credence to other aspects within the backroom there. You look at, for all these elite performance coaches, within the model, and especially at the pro level, you get to realize that how do you work with multi-sport science team, which is a critical component. The role of the physio, the role of the conditioning, and then even the role of your assistant, the goalkeeper, the equipment officer, and all those people. Seriously, as a country, we need to start looking at it. And even now, the role of big data, the analysis that they will do, and how do you even interpret some of these data to the players to really understand the basis of the game using scientific and objective criteria in giving video feedback to players, and then rewarding performance and providing rationale and justification why player A is starting ahead of you and player B, although he's not necessarily scoring, but this is the number of assists or that he has. This is the number of times that he's been able to fall back to intercept or break down opponent play. So I think it's a collective thing that we need to invest in. I've heard a lot of commentaries about our performance, but the key to the success of our game is not firing or dissolving of the Black Star Management Committee or having a go at the FA president or anybody. Neither am I here to maybe defend anybody. But we should ask ourselves, as a country, what do we have as the content of our coach education model? And then also, how many coaches have we invested in at the grassroots level that we know these coaches are supposed to stay at the grassroots level to give the basis to the players through their development? Once we don't tackle these issues, we should forget it. Because you look at the last 2 decades, all the investment in our game has happened at the elite level without much involvement or investment in the grassroots. You look at the CAF development pyramid, they clearly, and all over Europe, that the base need to receive some quantum of investment, and that will trigger the development that will require and the performance. People talk about the English team performing, but when Spain, Germany, France were performing, the English did an analysis and realized whereas Spain could boast of about 80,000 youth coaches, at that time they had only 7,000 to 10,000 youth coaches. So with the introduction of the English DNA, I think it's something that you can Google about. They clearly set out to develop some number of coaches at the grassroots level. And the impact is what we've seen with the success that is currently happening. That Dortmund and the likes will now go to England to poach young players. And you check the trajectory, some years back, they were going to France to recruit. Clubs in Europe will go to France, Brazil, and other things. Now, the English young talent are also being sought after. And that clearly also shows the gap that we are not necessarily exporting the quality of talent in the Asians, in the Montaris, and the Kodja Samoas, and even the giants that we previously benefited from. So clearly, if we really want to invest in any aspect of our game, infrastructure and coach education, it's like a country saying that I want to promote STEM without investing in STEM educators or STEM teachers. Where are you going to get the quality teachers to groom the next generation of those scientists that you are talking about? So clearly we need to put and fashion out where really we need. And I think we are short of quality coaches at our grassroots level and even at the elite level. We should now, at a point in time, we could fall on Osam Dudu, Samadi, Coach Afrani, and all those experienced coaches. You could hear Ben Kofi is in Zimbabwe, Osam Dudu in Gambia, and others. How many of our current generation of coaches are we even exporting? And this is where I also call on the PFAG, that they, through the various initiatives, they should also alert the average Ghanaian professional player to invest in themselves to get the needed badges, because they get exemptions and they can easily get the support in Europe to get the UEFA Pro badges that we are talking about. I was so amazed and touched when Koro Toure contacted me through one of the FA members about his research and professional work that he was doing. And currently, look at his development from Celtic, now Leicester. So if we are talking about coaches to take over the African game in the next and the next generation, and he is picking up the Ivorian team or the Ghanaian team, irrespective of what, you clearly know that he's gone through the mill. So sometimes we hide behind race. But I also think that as a Ghanaian and as a Ghanaian professionals within the sporting fraternity, we should start thinking about investing in our own selves. Gone were the days that the National Sports Authority or the National Sports Council was in charge of coach education, that we look out for them to invest in us to become good coaches. If we say we want to be coaches, like if you want to be an accountant, you pay to get your badges or your papers to be called chartered accountant. Coaches should start seeing it as their profession, and that they owe it a duty to themselves to also invest in their education and get the needed qualification and badges, so that they can also rub shoulders when an European coach brings this certificate. They can also match that because they played there and they also took advantage to invest in themselves to have the required badges. Without this, I don't think bringing in another coach, another thing, it's like we are all looking at the short-term basis. But I still think we really need to make the required investment in coach education, and then also the other sports scientists that require the opportunity to also work within a multi-sport science team to prepare the team to greater success. Other than that, we'll just go back and come and always be looking at. And we should be careful. You check the trajectory, all the tournaments that we won. When it turned into 15 teams, we were not able to win it. So now it means the mental demands and the physical demands of winning the African Cup of Nations have changed. And certainly the gestation period of grooming coaches and players for that elite level might have also been changed. And there is a need for proper research and the right kind of investment and the right kind of personnel to help uplift our game from the current situation.
Dr. Patrick Ofori urging for a scientific approach to this problem. Dr. Patrick Ofori, thank you so much. We're very grateful for your time here on the Joy Sports Link. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Patrick Ofori is a former psychologist of the Black Stars and has worked with a number of coaches and is also a lecturer in sports science. There's a message from Inku Joseph which says, I think we have to form a new technical team of the Black Stars where the local Black Stars coach must be part of the bench to feed the head coach with information about the performance of the local players and can be a potential replacement for the coach in the future. That alone can be a motivational factor for all our local players and coaches, and also that will enrich our Ghana Premier League. And on that note, I would go to Osei Owusu-Bempah. We lost him earlier when he was making the submission. Now, Mr. Owusu-Bempah, I want you to tell us what you would want to do based on all the advice that has come in, the professional advice that has come in, especially that from Dr. Patrick Ofori about using a scientific approach. How would you want to repair this Black Stars team ahead of these final round of qualifiers? Cristobal here made mention of the discovery we made in someone like Alexander Jiku, who previously we thought, oh, he's a newcomer, he shouldn't even be here. But then the situation brought the best out of him, and now everybody is mentioning his name. We want to see him in there. How would you repair this team, this current team that we have? What kind of approach would you use? Would you also wipe it all out, start all over again, or do a beef up, or keep a few people and all of that? What would you have done if you found yourself in that scenario?
Let me talk a little bit about the Ahmed Musa Dede Ayew connection.
Very well.
It seems to me, if probably you can tell me if that is correct, it seems it's in Nigerian DNA. I'm a historian of football. In 1994, the legendary
all right, so we're trying our best to
great Stimikesh. I wish I could have other adjective. Leader who went to Tunisia for the African Cup of Nations, stay on the decline based on his age and everything. He sat on the bench, and a player, a Belgium-based player, Chidiwan, came to pair Okechukwu, and then they won the African Cup of Nations. He only had the captain's armband when the trophy was about to be presented by the president of CAF at the time. He was in the team when they went to USA for the World Cup. He only played in the game against Greece, I think. Yeah, he came on as a sub in the game against Greece. That is what leadership is about. It's not just about wearing the armband and being at the forefront. And so I think that if that has been an issue in the Black Stars, then I think the earlier we corrected it, the better, because we have only 180 minutes away from a World Cup berth in Qatar. And it's something that I think I need to emphasize. Going forward, especially for the purpose of this World Cup qualification, which we have just 2 legs to play, as I said, 180 minutes, not more, and probably a penalty shootout if it gets that far. What I didn't see in this group of players that just exited the African Cup of Nations was the hunger and the competitive edge to play in a competition of that nature. As I said, I never expected the Ghanaian team to go beyond quarterfinals, but I never also expected them to exit in the disgraceful manner in which they did. Gary just drew my attention by his submission to the fact that even before the team arrived in Cameroon, most of the players thought that they were just making up the numbers, and therefore that competition was not there. I've heard this morning from other quarters, maybe Gary may confirm that after the game against Morocco, because they thought the coach was not going to use them. And so if we are not able to foster that unity among the players, we are not able to be honest with ourselves. I've also heard story about Philemon Balfour, for instance, having been selected by the coach ahead of the game against Comoros. And then some senior players waking up and say, hey, we cannot trust this guy to play in the team. If your own fellow players can tell you that, can tell a coach that, look, we don't have confidence in this player, then obviously there's a problem in camp. The FA must be very honest. They must take a bull by the horn, just as they must be very honest, and then that's what seems to me is the problem in the Ghanaian camp. Politicians must also stay away a little bit from the national team. Yes, the duty of the politician is probably to provide the resources that are needed. But just as Dr. Patrick Ofori also said, The investment in Ghanaian football the last couple of years, probably the last 10 years, has always been at the apex. Payment of allowances and bonuses and stuff to players, providing comfortable hotels and flight arrangements for players. And we are not investing at the local level. If Malawi, with players who play for Bata Bullets and stuff, if Sierra Leone, with a goalkeeper from Eastern Lions, could be a man of the match in an AFCON game, then we have no business saying that we cannot invest in the Ghanaian game to unearth very good players who can play for the national team. That is because if you have a league, a Ghanaian league, where with 28 players selected for the Ghana national team, you only had a slot for only 3 Ghanaian home-based players, then there's a problem in the Ghanaian. There's a problem in Ghanaian football. Ghanaian football problems begins when you begin to see that you have problems in the league. Gone were the days when you could see even when they're doing the terms of the boys that the police and stuff. You look at the Ghanaian back five, and that's all you see. Apart from maybe Eddie and San, who was playing in Nigeria at the time, Frimpong Manson, Ama, Emmanuel Pia, Nida Kwan Crime, were all home-based players. And I think that we have quality in such a team. I don't know if any of you have been watching some of the Premier League games. This year I've watched about 6 or 7 games, and you could see quality around. The FA must be interested in the Ghanaian game. The Egyptians showed interest in their game. It won them. They showed interest in the domestic competition, the Egyptian league. It won them 3 Nations Cup in succession, 2006, 2008, 2010. Where were the players coming from? 80% from Ali, about 15% from Zamalek, and the rest of them, few of them players, Mezaki and co, coming from Europe. And that's how they were able to win. This was the time that Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon were parading some of the best players. Samuel Eto'o took part in all these 3 competitions. Cameroon didn't win. Michael Essien, Asamoah Gyan, Sule Muntari, Stephen Appiah and co, with their World Cup quarterfinal, took part in almost all these competitions. But Egypt is the team that won all these 3 tournaments. And I think that if we invest very well and wisely in a local league, I'm sure we can be a bit more competitive. I don't think the Ghanaian football is as dead as it is. I think leadership has always been the problem, and if we're able to tackle that, I'm sure we'll be able to get somewhere. But in the game, I don't know who we're going to play. The draw this afternoon will tell who Ghana is going to play. But if you look at the statistics, so far of the 10 teams that have qualified, only Ghana and Algeria are not in the competition. That's the ongoing African Cup of Nations. In Ghana's group, we are in the Pot B. It means that of the Pot A, the only team that is not in right now is Algeria. And if you look at Senegal, Tunisia, Nigeria, these are going to be cracked in. But I think it's just 180 minutes, 90 minutes at home, 90 minutes away, and anything is possible.
I've heard people say that, look, we didn't perform well in the first game. So for many of them, they thought, you know something, let's just come home. Let's come and, just clean house and start it all over again. What would you prefer that we, especially because of the situation we find ourselves in now, that we don't go to the World Cup, we sit back and we apply ourselves to a proper plan of development, maybe a 2 or 3 year plan, or maybe a 5 year plan, or we once again take a few last minute, emergency measures and scrape through and go to the World Cup?
I think I'd rather not collapse the entire house and begin to rebuild. I will begin to mend the part which is mendable. And see how we can get a building standard. Remember, application, which is Cote d'Ivoire, starts in about 4 months or so. The tournament, I think, will take place somewhere in June next year. And so it's also around. And therefore, just as a few of your panelists have said, we have some good players in there. I understand many of the players also refuse to respond to the national call for one reason or another. In the interim, some of these things can be solved. Get the right people to talk to the right players, and I'm sure some of them will be able to come in. If you have a coach who will show equal opportunity, give equal opportunity to the players, I'm sure even if he sits on the bench, whilst somebody he thinks is better is playing, I'm sure the player will understand some of these things. And we need to build that confidence in the player. They need to have the confidence in the coach I'm talking of the players, and I'm sure that if you give them the role to play, even on the bench, even in the wherever it is, even at training, the players will accept it and then work in the interest of Madagascar. But I don't think that it will be proper at this stage to dissolve the entire team and then begin to rebuild. Who are you going to build around? If you dissolve the entire team, if you want to rebuild, I can assure you that about 70% of the players that are probably you will need could come from the team that we just saw. I mean, the point is true that beyond these players, how many of them do we have out there who couldn't make the effort? You can count some few players, but I think that we cannot just out of anger and emotions just disband the entire team, just as we did in Tunisia and Ethiopia.
Wow.
And then even Tunisia and Ethiopia, remember when we disbanded the team, the interesting and funny thing was that we came starting with young players, Frank Amankwa, Osekwejo, Usman Mamadou, and I remember beating Sierra Leone for them. Eventually, when we were going to South Africa in 96, it was Abedi Pele and Antonio Boas, whom we disbanded, are those who represented Ghana at the African Cup of Nations in South Africa, and things didn't go as we expected. So I think that taking the fire service approach probably will not help, and that we can mend the house. Where we need to mend, let's do so, then hope that the building will stand the test of time, and we should be probably believable for all of us. I don't think that I would recommend the complete disbandment of the national team. It won't work for us in the long and short term.
All right, let me do one message here. This is from Eugene Odame, who is a former head of production here at the Multimedia Group with a television operation, and also a lecturer at the National Film and Television Institute, NAFTI. A very, very big football enthusiast. He sent a very lengthy message. I'll do my best to read a bit of it. He says, for the future, we should have a standing local Black Stars for better teamwork and cohesion. Now, these local Black Stars should be treated differently from what exists within the current local Black Stars. Each member of the local Black Stars must be paid $2,000 per month once selected. This will reduce the exodus of Ghanaian budding players. Such players must sign a bond that they cannot leave Ghana for 2 years if they want to be part of the Black Stars. Now, if these players are given winning bonuses of $3,000 and $5,000 per any serious matches, they will be happy to stay in Ghana for the period and for at least 2 years before they leave to go abroad for any contracts. Now, the club the player is selected from should be paid $2,000 to $3,000 per player. With that, the clubs earning the cash monthly for their players in the local Black Stars will not be reluctant to release their players for fortnightly training sessions and build-up and cohesion sessions as well. The coach, whether local or foreign, must be good with the right qualifications and right attitude. Thank you so much, Mr. Eugene Odame, for that message. Look, the time always is not our best friend, so now we need to start looking forward. At 4 p.m. today, we would know what the what the reality is.
Doomsday.
Well, that's what Nana prefers to call it. But we've got a job to do. Mr. Usubempa says that he does not believe in the fire service approach. Let's mend it and let's move forward. Nana?
Well, the only difference I have is that he says let's mend it and then let's hope. It doesn't go together. It's a serious, savage contradiction. If I'm going to fix something, there's nothing to hope about because I fixed it. Look, I mean, there's so many things I want to say. Look, government has no business with GFA and football.
Even with all the resources that they
even
put
with
in
no
there.
football, I'll tell you one of the biggest problems, because the root cause is the GFA, and it's been that everlasting. Look, the GFA is supposed to be a business. It's not supposed to be going around with begging bowls to whoever to come and give me money so my team can do something. They're the one mandated at the Registrar General's office as the company and the association that's supposed to organise football in Ghana and develop it and get Ghana represented continentally and internationally. Biggest problem is it's supposed to be an autonomous organisation, but it behaves like an NGO. It's a business. And what I'm seeing is happening today, and it's been happening for a long time, is the people who are there aren't able to commercialize it.
But the rules of FIFA, when it comes to interference, all of that about interference, also talks about collaboration between the FAs and the respective governments.
I'm not saying there shouldn't be collaboration.
Okay, so this is also a collaboration between.
No, it's dominance. They're the ones who said. Milivan should be sacked. I wanted him sacked, but technically, I know it's the wrong thing to do, because it doesn't leave enough time for the development work that needs to be done with whoever is selected, right? But government isn't to know that. They're not to know that because that's not their forte. They're just making that demand because they're saying, we give you the money. And we've heard the people say, sack Milivan. So we're also saying, sack Milivan. But the entire technical team needs to go. It's not just Milivan. The entire technical team must go. Right? So whilst we're saying, yes, we can do a repair job because we want to go to the World Cup. So we can do a little repair job and see if we can get to the world job. But ultimately, we're looking at a 10-year development plan. We're looking at the GFA owning its own football academies, starting from under-7s all the way up. Because the rest of the world does that. The rest of the world does that. There's no point demanding that our football clubs do that when you, the GFA, the mother of football, you yourself, you can't do that.
Nana Jiman there. I'll be coming to you, Christabel, to wrap up for us. Ife as well in London. I will be wrapping up for us very shortly. Let me just announce the phone lines. We'll pick about 4 phone calls and then we can wrap up here in the studio. It's 0302-216-541. 0302-216-541. Get through to us. Let's have the conversation together. Christabel, your final thoughts as we
I
wrap it
think
up?
we can walk and chew gum. Let's attempt to go to the World Cup while we look forward and have a development plan. I agree fully that government should not interfere. Government should play an enabling environment, so put the right resources available. But GFA should also go to the private sector and get the money that we need to do this right. So there's a role for everybody. The boys need to be on fire, always, for love of country. And then maybe, just maybe, but I take it back. Let me add the last one. As fans, let's not expect a quick fix. I think we don't help the situation. We want it yesterday and we will do anything to get it yesterday, and then we criticize beyond belief. Let's know that we're in a growing stage. We needed to hit rock bottom to go up. Now the only way is up, right? So let's do it.
Okay, the only way is up. Ife, if you can hear me, your final thoughts as we call it a show.
Well, it's a long. For me, as Nana was saying, it's not from the scratch. They sacked the coach. Ghana, all the Ghana needs to do now is to recruit. That's what they just need to do again. And when people talk about Andre, that they play better than when he's not on the pitch, I'm going to say 70% that's wrong, because for him to be there, right, is something. He has the power. You're comparing it to Musa. It's the same thing. He will play for the team, and when he's not in the team, they should play for him. Exactly. That's what people should understand. It's psychology there with the players when they say, they were working harder. Now, when we did the coaching courses, they do sessions where it's 10 men to play against 11. Yes. So when you're 10 men, when you're 1 man down, 10 men down, you're always going to know that they're going to work harder. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing about the thing. But in general, Ghana qualified, get to the World Cup, which we always want them to be. Then after that, they will all just have to start again from the beginning. To start fresh with a new coach.
Efe, Sojay, thank you so much. It's been wonderful taking a listen to you. Unfortunately, we lost connection with Gary L. Smith there. And so I do remember that live commentary will continue here on Joy99.7 FM. And tomorrow there are 2 big games. We'll be bringing you one of them, and that will be Nigeria versus Tunisia. Before that, there'll be Burkina Faso versus Gabon. And from a Ghanaian perspective, everybody will be observing that game between Burkina Faso and Gabon, hoping that, it happens well for Burkina Faso from a serious opposition point of view. On Monday, it will be Guinea versus the Gambia, who have had a wonderful, debut so far. And then Cameroon versus Comoros. What if Comoros goes through at the expense of Cameroon? Sometimes these things begin as just mere jokes. But if just some very, very quick ones, very, very final ones. Tunisia versus Nigeria.
Nathaniel, that question you're asking me is there's no
I'm with you on that.
First and foremost, I was just about to say to you, just take it here. From here, you heard it first. We are winning the cup.
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe you.
Yes.
I believe you.
Okay, we're winning the cup. So I don't know why you're asking that question. I told you before, when you compared earlier on when you talk about Nigeria and Ghana, I always said to you, we're always a step ahead of you guys. You know.
Don't worry,
So
we'll
we're
have a
winning the cup.
conversation on that one.
We're winning the cup. Don't worry. If you ain't going to compare about jollof rice, we're still better than that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Anyway,
FK, I
yeah,
hope
but
you don't
you
leave
have our
Cameroon
support.
along
You
the
have our
way.
support. So
No,
you know.
see. We get to the finals. If they like, they beat Cameroon. I can tell you now, Cameroon will be crying not to go to the finals with Nigeria because they know what's going to
Remember
happen.
the finals in
2002.
2002.
Yeah, we do remember. Yeah.
Okay, so you
And
know
remember
what's gonna happen.
1990, the World Cup qualifier match?
Nigeria is winning. All I'm going to say. I'm a Nigerian. We're winning.
Okay.
Good luck, FK.
Good luck. Good luck and God day. Everything day.
Okay. They say Nigeria do they carry last. Let's see how it goes. You know,
Nigeria
so
carry
we'll
us for
bring you
what?
that game. Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Ifeanyi, ex-Nigeria
Thank you.
international. Christabel Steele-Dazi is a business consultant and a sworn big fan of the Black Stars captain and also the Black Stars. And Nana Jiman, also a fan of the Black Stars and a critic when he has to be, and a coach as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening, and we will be back tomorrow in the evening to bring you that big game. That big game that Nigeria will be playing against Tunisia, and I would like to say a very big thank you. Yeah.
That place called Super Eagles.
Super Eagles of Nigeria, and of course, we would like to say a very big thank you to the rest of the team, the social media team, the Joy Sports team as well. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll bring you the commentary, and it sure will be exciting right here. Mami Nyamicha Thompson is up with the Joy Headline News at 2. You stay well. Keep it here. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.
Hello and welcome to the Joy Headline News at 2. I am Amiesi Thompson. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister has been justifying his decision to interdict the Chief Inspector of Mines, Richard Kofieji, as well as suspend the license